Hello and welcome to another Intro to Programming tutorial. In this tutorial we will going to be going over coding nested loop examples in console application in Visual Basic. Now here I have written a code. In this code we are not using nested loop, but let's go over this code because we're going to be transforming this example into a nested loop example. The way this program has been coded this far, we have a variable called ctr1 of type integer. The variable is now being used as a loop counter to run from 1 all the way through 10. So it will going to be running the loop for 10 counts. Every time it will going to run, the value of counter will going to be incremented by 1. What we're doing inside the body of the loop is we are displaying 1 multiplication symbol and the current value of CTR equals symbol and then the product of 1 and CTR. So pretty much as this comment displays over here, this loop will going to display the first 10 multiples of 1. So first time the loop runs, we're going to display 1 times the current value of CTR, which is 1, equals to 1 times 1, which is 1. Next time the loop runs, it will display 1 times the current value of CTR, which will now be 2, equals to 1 times 2, which will be 2. Like that, we're going to run all the way through 10, and the final value that will be displayed will be 1 times 10 equals to 10. Now let's have a look at the output screen for this code. We have to start without debugging so that the screen can stay in front of us. And here you can see in the output we have 1 times 1 equals to 1, 1 times 2 equals to 2, all the way through 1 times 10 equals to 10. So that's what basically this code does. Displays the multiples, the first 10 multiples of 1. Now in this code, what we have is we have fixed the number to 1. Now we want to dynamically create a program that will display the first 10 multiples of first 5 numbers. So we're going to use the inner loop. Now we have to be changing this into a nested loop. The reason is because we want to have for every number the first 10 multiples. So that's an inner loop logic because that is something that will going to be same for every number. And then once we are done with the first 10 multiples of the first number, we want to move to the second number. So that logic will going to go in the outer loop. So it's something that remains the same for everybody goes in the inner loop. And then when that thing is over, we now want to move with the next value in the outer loop. So now I want to declare two sets of variables, CTR1 and CTR2. And I'm going to be using CTR2 for controlling our output. And we're going to be using CTR1 for displaying the CTR2 will going to be used for incrementing the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the CTR2 will going to be used for that purpose, and CTR1 will going to be used for displaying the multiples the way it is being used right now. So here we have our CTR2 variable that I'm declaring. So we have CTR1 and CTR2. I'm going to be using my CTR2 to build the outside logic. So for CTR2 equals to 1 to 5. So this is my loop. Now let me move my next statement to close this after here so that I can create a nested loop. So here is my nested loop. So I have my CTR2 that controls the outer logic, and I've got my CTR1 that controls the inner logic. And this next is the next for this loop, and this next is the next for this loop. And as you can see in VB, it highlights the for and the next that are linked with each other. So now I'm going to be changing my comment here, displaying the first 10 multiples of numbers 1 through 5 should be the case here. And then I will going to be displaying the output onto the screen so that we have the first 10 multiples of the first 5 numbers. So we are going to be putting our output, our comment over here right after this line, so that we can pretty much display the right comment with this code. So we would like to display the first 10 multiples of numbers 1 through 5. So now we have removed the comment out of here. So we're going to be getting rid of this extra space. So the counter number 2 is running 1 through 5, and the counter number 1 is running 1 through 10. So every time we are in the loop, we would like to display the current value of counter 2 times the current value of counter 1 and the product of the two, counter 2 times counter 1. That's exactly what we'd like to do. So that first time the loop we're going to run is going to be 1 times 1, then it's going to be 1 times 2, it's going to be 1 times 3, because counter 2 will going to remain unchanged until counter 1 reaches 10. Then we're going to be going up to the outer loop, and the counter 2 will then going to become 2. Then the loop will going to run 2 times 1, 2 times 2, like that to 2 times 10. And then when it reaches 10 again, then the counter 2 will become 3, and then we're going to run 10 times for 3, then 10 times for 4, then 10 times for 5. So the total number of lines that are going to be generated from this will going to be 5 times 10. There's going to be 50 lines of output. What I want to do different over here a little bit is I want to have some kind of a separator as I go through the code, so that there is some kind of an indicator that we are done displaying all the multiples of one number, and we are now about to go to the multiples of the next number. So for that purpose, I want to have a line of asterisk, pretty much. That's just to differentiate there. So now we would like to run this code, and now you can see very easily that it displays numbers 1 through 10, which are all the multiples of 1, and then all the multiples of 2, 1 through 10, and then all the multiples of 3, then all the multiples of 4, all the multiples of 5. Now it's very easy to change this code. If I want to display the multiples, the first 10 multiples of the first 6 numbers, so I can just simply change that to 6, and I can rerun this code, and now you will be able to see that it actually goes all the way down to the first 10 multiples of 6. If I want to only display the first 3 of them, then I can change this to a 3, and then I can run this code, and then we're going to be displaying the first 10 multiples of the first 3 numbers, so that it goes only as far as 3 times 10. If I want to display the first 12 multiples of the first 12 numbers, so now if I run this code, if I want to stay it on the screen, I'm going to use start without debugging, and you can notice the last value displays is 12 times 12, which is 144. The first value that displays is 1 times 1 equals 1, goes all the way down to 1 times 12 equals 12. So it pretty much displays the table of 12 for the first 12 numbers. So this is how you can be changing this code and controlling it however many times you want to do it. So this particular code, the way it is written right now, we're going to run for 144 times, because 12 times for every number, and then there are 12 numbers in the outer loop. So hope this tutorial would have helped you understand how you go about coding the nested loops. Catch you in the next tutorial. Thank you for watching.